Here we have a number example to work through to show us the effect of a positive externality on this market. So here we have flower gardens, which of course make me happy as I walk around my neighborhood. I appreciate the lovely flowers that my neighbors have planted, but they don't really take that into account when they decide how many flowers to plant in their yard. So we have an external benefit associated with flowers of, say, $6 per unit. This is the marginal external benefit. And notice that it's constant. It's the same for each unit. That will be true in all of the examples that we do. So let's start by plotting our supply and demand curves and finding the market equilibrium. I've got 30, 60, 0 is the intercept of my supply curve here. And when I set these two equations equal, I see that the market equilibrium quantity is 20 and the price is also 20. Now, we know that this is not the socially optimal outcome and that the socially optimal quantity will be higher than 20 since we have an external benefit. To find the socially optimal quantity, we'll start by writing out the marginal social benefit curve. And to do that, we're simply going to take our demand equation and add the marginal external benefit. So the marginal social benefit curve here is 36 minus 0.5Q. Notice that we've just shifted the demand curve up by 6, which is the marginal external benefit. And we can see that our socially optimal quantity will be, of course, like we said, higher than the market equilibrium. We find that socially optimal quantity by finding the intersection of the marginal social benefit curve with the marginal cost curve. Here, supply represents our marginal social cost curve since we do not have any negative externalities. And so we have 36 equals 1.5Q. So the socially optimal quantity will be quantity of 24. You'll notice that I have only asked for the quantity in this problem, and I don't ask you about the socially optimal price. That's because there is not a price, one price, that would result in the socially optimal quantity. In fact, in this example, there is no price that could result in the socially optimal quantity. We'll talk about some solutions to this problem later on, but typically I'm just going to ask you for the quantity and not the price at the socially optimal point. The last thing that we want to do is think about surplus. Of course, consumer and producer surplus is maximized at the market equilibrium, and that is still true here if we just think of consumers and producers. But consumers and producers have failed to take into account the external benefit of their actions, meaning that at the market equilibrium, we have less surplus than at the socially optimal point. Here, I've drawn out, this is consumer surplus and producer surplus at the market equilibrium quantity, and this is the external benefit. We can compare that to total surplus at the socially optimal point, which would be the area between the marginal social benefit and marginal social cost curves. So as you notice here, the missing area, our deadweight loss triangle, is right here. And I can find its area by taking 1/2 times the height will be the marginal external benefit 6 in this case. And the width is the difference in the quantities. So 4. So total, we have a deadweight loss of 12, meaning that at the market equilibrium, that's a quantity of 20 in this problem. Total surplus is $12 lower than at the socially optimal quantity of 24.